Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Christian Sports Podcast. Today we'll be breaking down the 2026 NBA preseason week 1 game by game. We'll be going to the winners, the teams that struggled, the players, and the storylines that stood out, and what we learned from the preseason action. Remember, the preseason records does not count towards the regular season, but the games are important for rookies, young players, position battles, and players trying to earn a roster spot. And at the end, we will close with our verse of the day. Let's get started. But first, editor, roll it. The first game, the Carolina Panthers barely squeezed by the Arizona Cardinals 33-30 in the Hall of Fame game. This was a wild way to start the preseason. The biggest story was Carolina quarterback Haynes King, who made the most of his opportunity and scored the game-winning touchdown on the ground late in the game. For Arizona rookie quarterback Carson Beck also gave fans something to watch. He showed some impressive flashes during his preseason debut. The biggest takeaway: young quarterbacks are already giving us a reason to pay attention. Carolina gets the win, but both teams got valuable information about the young players. Game 2, the Bengals squeezed by the Detroit Lions 16-14. Cincinnati's offense showed some interesting wrinkles, including more under center play action concepts. That's something to watch heading into the regular season for Detroit. The biggest focus was evaluating your young players and depth pieces. This wasn't about the final score, it was about figuring out which players can help when the game actually counts. Game 3, the Green Bay Packers versus the Steelers, and the Steelers absolutely beat them boys by 28. Beat them boys by 19, 28-9, I believe. Wait, is that 19? I think it's 19. That's one of the most convincing victories of Week 1. Pittsburgh defense created problems while Green Bay struggled to consistently generate offense for the Steelers. This was an encouraging start for Green Bay. There's plenty of film to review, and again, it's a preseason, but winning 28-9 gives your young players some confidence and perspective on your young players. Game 4, Indianapolis Colts versus the New England Patriots. It ended up in a tie. Not every preseason game produces a winner, and that's okay for both teams. The real victory was getting your young players valuable reps. Coaches were able to evaluate their quarterbacks, offensive linemen, defensive backs, and special teams players in live game situations. The scoreboard stays a tie. The film room will tell the real story. Game 5, the Chargers completely blow the Houston Texans out of the water, beating them boys by 20. That's one of the biggest wins of the week. The Chargers defense was especially impressive, holding Houston to just 7 points for Los Angeles Chargers. This was a strong first impression for Houston. This is a reminder that the preseason is exactly what it's designed for, identifying problems before the regular season begins. Game 6 was Arizona Cardinals versus the Las Vegas Raiders, and the Cardinals beat the Raiders by 14 points. Arizona young players continued to get opportunities while Las Vegas had a chance to evaluate its new look roster. For the Raiders, the focus now turns to correcting mistakes and getting more consistent from the offense. Arizona leaves this game with positive momentum. Game 7, Tennessee Titans versus San Francisco 49ers. The Titans squeezed by the 49ers 19-13. This was a good opportunity for Tennessee's young players to make their case why they should crack the starting roster. San Francisco, meanwhile, got an early look at its depth. The important thing here is about competition. Every preseason snap matters when you're trying to make the final roster. Game 8, Miami Dolphins versus the Washington Commanders. The Commanders beat the Dolphins 20-7. Washington defense stood out, limiting Miami to just 7 points for the Commanders. That's an encouraging start. Miami has plenty to evaluate offensively, especially with your young players competing for opportunities. This game shows why depth matters in the NFL. Game 9 showed us why the Falcons have, the worst, if not top 2 worst quarterback, rooms in the NFL. One of the biggest stories was Atlanta quarterback Tua Tagovailoa, who had a difficult preseason debut. He completed 3 out of his 5 passes for 22 yards. Tua wasn't happy with his performance afterwards, which tells you how seriously he took his opportunity. For Denver, winning 27-7 is a strong start for Atlanta. The goal is to learn from their mistakes and improve in week 2. By the way, Tua Tagovailoa fumbled on his first ever snap as a Falcon. So that's gonna, ruffle some feathers in with their team. Game 10, Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the New York Jets. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers beat the Jets 24-16. Tampa Bay's offense showed enough to give the team some positive momentum for the Jets' young players and roster. Hopeful receives important reps. The final score matters less than identifying who can contribute once the regular season begins. Game 11, Cleveland Cavaliers versus the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears absolutely killed the Browns 34-10. This was one of the biggest score differentials of week 1. Chicago's offense found success while the defense also made plays. For Cleveland, giving up 34 points provides plenty of film for coaches to study. The Bears, meanwhile, can take the confidence from a convincing preseason performance. Game 12, Carolina Panthers 14, Buffalo Bills 29. The Bills absolutely dominated. The Buffalo Bills young players got an opportunity to show what they can do. The Bills looked more consistent throughout the game, while Carolina had to deal with another tough preseason matchup for both organizations. The focus now shifts towards plays, development stories, and roster decisions. For Game 13, the Minnesota Vikings versus the New York Giants. The Minnesota Vikings defeated the New York Giants 13-10, but unfortunately the biggest story wasn't the final score. Minnesota defender Jamal Adams suffers a season-ending knee injury. God, I just pray for hopefully that he gets back, because when I tell you, it was like, I believe the 2019-2020 season through like the end of his Jets tenure, Jamal Adams was an absolute beast on that field, man. I tell you, the Jets was absolutely, their defense was a little bit questionable, but Jamal Adams was never in question. In my opinion, that is the most underrated defensive player of the late 2010s, in my opinion. Even though he only had like a short, I think, 2-year window. A short 3-year window, but he was an amazing player for the Jets. Later for the Seahawks, he kind of fell off because they didn't really know what to do. It was either lead in the direction of the new Legion of Boom. They still have Bobby Wagner, but Bobby Wagner was like, I believe, maybe 36 years old and kind of getting up there in age. So he was kind of there, but also it was like, do we want to, start a little bit of a new revolution with Jamal Adams and give him the guys they can work around with? Or do we kind of, do the little young, old route with, I believe, like I said, a 35-year-old Bobby Wagner. So that was kind of a tough situation that they put themselves in. It's also a tough situation for Adams and the Vikings. Injuries are one of the hardest parts of football, and this is a reminder that the preseason games still carry real consequences for the real players on the field. We wish Jamal Adams the best in his recovery. Game 14, Los Angeles Rams versus the Kansas City Chiefs. I was so mad at this game. When I tell y'all, I watched this game and I was so mad at this game because we lost to the Rams, and that just kind of showcased that we're not really ready to compete this year. So I would say give us until maybe the next 1 to 2 seasons, we'll be back. It's just our wide receivers not really up to par, other than Rashid Rice. Xavier Worthy's there, but he's, not good in my opinion. He was just a completely combine merchant. He was, and even on the field, it's like he don't got the game breakaway speed as Tyreek Hill, and I understand people talking about that James Worthy might be faster than Tyreek Hill. In my opinion, that is two concepts of lower speed. For James Worthy, he'll be best in actually doing a 40-yard dash or like a 400-meter. Tyreek Hill, his speed is completely breakaway speed. Like when he got a little bit of room, you ain't seen him ever again unless he's already down in the field scoring a touchdown or like a 77-yard bomb. It's completely crazy. This was an interesting matchup because both organizations have high expectations. The Rams got a win and some valuable reps for the young players. Kansas City now has film to evaluate and plenty of opportunities to improve. It's only week 1 of the preseason, so nobody should overreact. But there's always things to learn. Game 15, Jacksonville Jaguars versus the New Orleans Saints. The Jacksonville Jaguars defeated the New Orleans Saints 24-20 in one of the close games of the week. One of the biggest individual storylines was Saints quarterback Zach Wilson completed 11 out of the 16 passes for 145 yards and a touchdown. That was an encouraging preseason debut for Jacksonville. The offense showed enough just to get the victory for New Orleans. The quarterback competition and the overall depth remains a storyline to watch. Game 16, Philadelphia Eagles versus the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens comfortably defeat the Philadelphia Eagles 24-7. Baltimore's defense was the biggest story. Holding Philadelphia to 7 points is an impressive preseason result for the Eagles. This is an opportunity to reevaluate what went wrong and make adjustments for Baltimore. It is a strong first step for the young players fighting for roster spots. Game 17, the Dallas Cowboys versus the Seattle Seahawks. The Cowboys beat the Seahawks 17-7. Dallas held Seattle to just 7 points. That is a positive sign for the Cowboys' depth in their defensive side. Seattle now has an opportunity to look at the film, correct any mistakes, and prepare for week 2 of the preseason. Once again, this score isn't about anything. It's about player development. And the week 1 winners. So, who are the biggest winners of week 1? That is a question. I'll put the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Chicago Bears, the Chargers, the Ravens, the Broncos near the top based on their performance. But remember, the preseason winners aren't necessarily regular season contenders. We are just evaluating development and not predicting the entire season from one preseason game. These are several players to give attention or to pay attention to. Haynes King, Carson Beck. Haynes King because he made a huge impression for Carolina. Carson Beck because he showed some flashes for Arizona. Zach Wilson because he had a strong Saints debut, and Tua Tagovailoa had a complete rough first outing with Atlanta. But one of the biggest stories of the week was unfortunately an injury to Jamal Adams, who is expected to miss the rest of the season. That's the side of the football. The side of the football that reminds us these people are real people, not just names on the scoreboard. Now, for my game of the week, it was, drumroll please, the Carolina Panthers versus the Arizona Cardinals. Why? Because the Hall of Fame game gave us every single thing you wanted from a preseason opener: a close score, young quarterbacks, late game drama, and a game-winning touchdown. Carolina won 33-3, but both teams got valuable experience. Now, let's take a moment to step away from football and focus on faith. Today's verse is Galatians 6:9. Let us not become weary in doing good, for the proper time we reap a harvest if we do not give up. This verse fits perfectly with football. Players are fighting for roster spots. Rookies are trying to prove themselves. Veterans are trying to stay healthy. Coaches are building their teams. And in life, we go through seasons where we may feel tired or discouraged, but the message is simple. Do not give up. Keep working. Keep believing. Keep trusting in God. Your journey isn't finished just because you're going through a difficult season. Stay faithful and keep moving. And that will complete 2026 NFL preseason week 1 on the Christian Sports Podcast. We have covered all the games, the biggest winners, the biggest storylines, the players to watch, our game of the week, and our verse of the day. Preseason week 2 is coming, and the competition is getting even more serious. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you like, follow, subscribe, comment, and share it with somebody who loves sports and faith. It's the Christian Sports Podcast. Until next time, keep God first, keep working, keep believing. God bless. I'm out.